All right. Welcome, everyone, to today's group coaching call. We're going to get started here in about 60 seconds. I'm just going to make sure I've got the my screen open here. If you can hear me, go ahead and type yes into the chat box. Also, let me know where you're joining us from, just so I've got a good idea here of where people are tuning in from. And so that way I know you can actually hear me because, well, we've had issues before with Webinar Jam, and I do want to make sure that you can hear me. All right. Yes from Stacy in Virginia. Yes from Dan in Cyprus. Heather, Northern Utah. Heather, are you the Heather that was at the Idaho Coeur d'Alene event that we did last year? Lynn, Prescott, Arizona. Hear you loud and clear. Yes, Diane. Great. Santa Barbara from Susan. St. Joe, Michigan. Great. Well, I've got the, at least you guys can hear me because we have had that issue in the past. Heather, great. I'm so glad to see you back. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Scottsdale from Christina. Great. Anyway, so as I was saying, I left the chat box open so that way as you have questions, you can ask them. This is supposed to be more of an interactive. This is group coaching. I am going to go through a little bit of training first, and then I'll make sure that we get to any questions that you've got. One of the things you'll notice is in the chat box, down near where you actually type in your message, there's like three little dots. At least I believe that's the way it looks. My screen actually looks a little bit different. When you tap that, you can mark it as a question. And so when you do that, it actually shows up in another screen for me. And that'll definitely help me since there's no one else on the call with me, like Taylor or Debbie, who can like make sure that we get all your questions answered. If you can mark it as a question, it'll show up in my screen as a question. And then I'll make sure that I don't miss that as we go through that. So anyway, Michael, yes. Sarah from Palo Alto. Grew up in Burlingame, so I know where Palo Alto is quite well. Jay in San Bernardino, fantastic. And looks like we've got a pretty good group here, so that's great. We're going to go ahead and get started here. And what we're going to be talking about, at least for this first part of the call before we get into the Q&A section, is what I like to call the quickest way to get a client. We're going to go over how to actually implement the instant client goldmine strategy that you all have access to. And I'll show you where it is on the website if you need help with that. And also make sure that you understand how to use SMS conversations so that way you can implement that. And one of the reasons why I want you to implement that this week, if you haven't started, is because it literally is the quickest way to get a client. And that's the name of the game, is getting clients and getting as many clients as you can, as quickly as you can, serving them at the highest level and getting the referrals from them. So one of the questions I always get from people is, well, who do I target? Especially when I'm doing the instant client goldmine strategy. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of focus on the three main groups that work really well with the instant client goldmine strategy. And if you've heard me talk before, you know there are 5 groups that I like to talk about that you target. The first 3 is what you want to do for the instant client goldmine strategy. And the first thing that you want to do is you always want to go after current clients. And it's kind of funny when I bring that up with people because they're like, well, I don't understand, I'm already serving them. How can I serve them more? I mean, it just doesn't seem to make sense. Or I literally just sold their home, or I literally just helped them buy a home. Why would I want to target my current clients? And there's a couple of reasons for that. This right here is actually a picture of my backyard, part of it. And we've got this patio cover there. And we had this installed a few years ago. And when we did, we had called around basically to several different companies that install that type of stuff and finally decided on this one company, and they were a full service remodeling firm. So they didn't just do these patio covers. They did everything. They did bathrooms, kitchens, I'm sure whole house remodeling. And when they came over, great salesman came over, met with us, took all the measurements, got us a quote. There were other things that we wanted done. Like, I know it's really hard to tell, and it's kind of dirty in the picture, but we've got a TV mounted over on the wall. We've got a bench right underneath that. That bench was a flower bed, and we didn't have the TV mounted or anything like that. All this particular sales rep needed to do was ask just a really simple question. Hey, while we're getting you a quote on this patio cover, are there any other needs that you want us to address? We might be able to get you a quote, and you never know, it might be less expensive than you think it would be. But it never did that. And so as a result, we had to call in someone else to mount the TV, someone else to turn the flower bed into a bench. That building over there on the side, that's where my office is. And we needed a lot of work done in there. We had French doors put in. We had all kinds of stuff. We had 2 bathrooms that we needed remodeled. We have a kitchen that needed remodeled. We had all this stuff that needed to be done. And all the guy needed to do was just basically ask if there was any other way that he could help, that he could service us. And he never did. And so they missed out on all this business. And I know what's going through your head right now. You're thinking, wait a second. Real estate is different. I mean, if I help someone buy a home, I kind of did my job. I kind of fulfilled everything. And yet the reality is I want you to have the right mindset when it comes to these ideas that I'm sharing with you. And so what I mean by the right mindset is, how can I take what I'm seeing in other industries and apply it to my own? When you do that, that's when you have these massive breakthroughs in your business. When all of a sudden you see something that another industry is doing and you go, you know what? I'm going to take that idea and I'm going to apply it to my own industry. Give you a great example of taking something from one industry and applying it to another. Back in the day, long time ago, like when I was a kid, banks used to have drive-up teller windows. Nowadays, you don't even really see many banks with a drive-up teller window. Maybe they have like a little drive-up ATM, but that's usually about the extent of it. Well, the fast food industry looked at that and said, hey, you know what? Why don't we take that drive-up teller idea and why don't we bring it over to the fast food industry and we'll have a drive-through? And that was revolutionary because no one had ever done that. And so they took from one industry and applied it to theirs. And now you see the original industry, the banking industry, has almost neglected that whole idea completely. So when we share this idea and we're talking about looking at what do these contracting companies do or what should they be doing, how can we take that idea and apply it to real estate? What if when you're talking to your current clients, you simply ask them, do you have any other real estate needs or concerns that I can help address for you, such as investment properties, family members that need to downsize, or friends that are looking to buy their first home? See, by simply asking the question, sometimes we're able to get them to go, well, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Once we get this transaction behind us, we are kind of looking at, possibly investing in more real estate. Or, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Pete. My parents, it's about time for them to downsize. All of his kids have left the house. Or, you know what? I was just talking with Billy and Susie, and they're thinking about buying their first home. So what we're doing is we're causing people to start think about people who they know. In some cases, it could be themselves. It could be themselves, meaning they want to invest in an investment property, or it's a family member. They know someone looking to downsize or perhaps move up. Or again, it's a friend. It's that good solid referral that we're looking for. So don't neglect your current clients when it comes to seeing what other business you can get from them. In fact, I would go back to all of my, what I would consider current clients, which is basically anyone that you've helped in the last 6 months or are currently helping right now. Go back to them and ask them this question. What other things might they need when buying your listing? We've got one agent, and what they do is if they can see, okay, you know what, this bathroom's a little bit dated, they'll actually go out to contracting companies and get quotes. And so as buyers are coming through the house, they'll say, hey, by the way, we've also already gotten these quotes. Just so you can have an idea, if you wanted to redo the bathroom, these are what these particular contractors over here are quoting to redo that. And a lot of times it's cheaper than what people are thinking. And so they're looking at that going, oh, you know what? I really didn't like that bathroom, or I really didn't like that kitchen, or I really didn't like fill in the blank. And I'm really grateful to know what it would cost. Now, what does that do for the contractor? It tees them up perfectly for getting that business. In fact, they start getting a couple of those, they're going to reach out to the agent and go, hey, you know what, how can I be helping you? And so you can develop a great referral partnership with that one simple strategy. The next group we want to look at are your past clients. These are clients that you've serviced in the past, but maybe you haven't talked to them in a while, or it's been a while since you reached out to them. One of the reasons why I always talk about this is I like to give the example of my two houses. So I bought a house in July of 2005, and great real estate agent. She took care of us very well. We bought the house, we moved in. Shortly after we moved in, we started basically noticing all these issues in the community. And we're kind of like, oh my gosh, man, I'm not sure we really moving here was the right move to make. Within a year and a half, we bought another house. So the house we bought in 2005 was just shy of $500,000. The house we bought in 2006, a year and a half later, was $900,000. But here's the reason why I bring this up. The agent that helped us out originally with the first home, as soon as they sold us the home, they were gone. Never followed up with us again. And here, all it took was a year and a half, and they could have picked up a $900,000 sale and a $500,000 listing just by following up, just by staying in touch with us. But they didn't do that. Group number 3 are going after your prospects. Again, the quickest way to get a client today. So your prospects, these are going to be online leads that you've purchased or generated yourself, friends and family, your database, your centers of influence, open house leads, basically people who you've touched in one way or another, but they haven't used you to help them buy or sell their real estate. Those are your prospects. So those are the 3 main groups that we want to focus on in this training today: your current clients, your past clients, and your prospects. And so once we've done that, once we've identified, okay, that's who these groups are. And by the way, I would be segmenting this in your, in your database. So if you have a CRM, depending on how your CRM works, sometimes you can tag them. If you don't have a CRM, use SMS conversations. It's not really a CRM, but we do have contact lists in there, and create 3 different groups: current clients, past clients, prospects. I mean, it could be just as simple as that. So let's kind of dive deep here on the Instant Client Goldmine strategy. Step number 1 for the Instant Client Goldmine strategy is you want to send out what I call the pink elephant letter. And here's what the pink elephant letter is. I had a lot of agents coming to me, and I'd give them this great marketing strategy, and they go, well, Pete, the problem with this marketing strategy is I feel kind of awkward all of a sudden reaching out to people who, frankly, I've never reached out to before. I've never really marketed to them before. I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense. It's as if there's a big pink elephant in the middle of the room, and we're kind of like trying to talk around the elephant instead of just addressing the big pink elephant in the middle of the room, which is the fact that we haven't actually been communicating with them. We haven't actually been touching base with them. So the pink elephant letter, you would use this if you haven't been in connection with your database, or at least a segment of your database that you want to start marketing to. So it looks a little something like this. Dear Bob, just the other day, my staff and I took some time to review our business, and we've come to the conclusion that the most important assets we have in this business are the relationships that we've developed in our personal and professional lives. I also have to confess that we, or rather that I, have not been proactive in my personal communication as I would have liked. It's to this point that I want you to know I've taken appropriate steps to start communicating with you more frequently, be it a newsletter, personal card, or a follow-up telephone call from the office. Please consider it tangible evidence that I'm putting my relationship with you back where it needs to be, that is, first in my business. In the near future, you'll begin to receive my newsletter via the mail. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or if we can help in any way, please don't hesitate to call us. Sincerely, Pete Mitchell. By the way, if you're thinking of selling your home, I've put together a great resource called How to Downsize with Distinction. I'll be more than happy to drop it in the mail to you. Call me at this number or visit this website to get it now. So understand what we're doing with this letter is we're simply addressing the pink elephant in the room. Once you've sent this letter out, do you think you're going to have much of an issue following up with people and starting to market to them? Probably not, because we've addressed the thing that kind of bothered us. The fact that we haven't been talking to them, the fact that we haven't been communicating with them. And so we're addressing that and just killing that entire issue completely. So you would do that in week 1. And again, if you already do communicate with your database, you can go ahead and skip that and go straight to step 2, which is sending an email. Now, when we send this email, and by the way, this is what we call a Dean Jackson creation. This guy named Dean Jackson is the one that kind of invented this very simple, very plain email that works tremendously. Here's what we do. For the subject line of the email, you're going to put their name. Pete Mitchell, Debbie DeGroat, Taylor DeGroat, right? Put their name as the subject line. Then for the body of the email, we're simply going to ask a question that demands a response. Are you still interested in buying a home in Long Beach, in Lakewood, in Rossmore, in Orange County? Or if you were talking to someone who was thinking about selling their home, are you still interested in selling your Lakewood home, Long Beach home, Rossmore home, Orange County home? And then sign your name to it, and then put whatever you're legally required to put in your signature. So what that means is if you need to have your broker's information, put that. If you need to have your license information, put that. What I don't want you to put in your signature are those really pretty signatures that have, $52 billion in sales and a little award and, winner of all these awards, because now we're basically just telling people how great we are. What we want to do is just ask them this one simple question. I literally cannot tell you how many times I've finally gotten agents to do this one simple step, like nothing else, just sending out this one simple email. And every single time they've reached out to me the next day and go, you know what? I actually had some people respond to me that, yes, they are still thinking of selling their home, or yes, they are still thinking of buying a home in whatever city. It works. Now, one of the things that is going to make you cry are the no's that you get, right? You're going to get no's from people who go, no, actually, we just sold our home, or no, we just bought. And you're going to be like, wait a second, you just sold your home. Last time I talked to you, you told me you weren't selling for like 9 months to a year. And that was 2 months ago. People lie, right? They just do. So that will be the heartbreak side. But the good side is going to be the conversations that it forces to the surface and allows you to take advantage of them. So that's what you're going to do in week 2. After the pink elephant letter, send this one simple email. And you're going to do this through however you send emails to your database as it is right now. If you've got a CRM, that's what you're going to go ahead and utilize. Then in week 3, we're going to send a gapped message. Gapped stands for Group Automated Personalized Text. So you're going to do this via SMS conversations unless you have some other sort of texting platform that you want to utilize. So anybody who doesn't respond to the email, and you're going to get anywhere from 30 to 55% of people responding to the email. So everyone else, another 70 to 45%, somewhere in that range, you're going to send this simple text. Hi, Bob. Hi, Susie. Hi, Karen. Following up from last week's email, are you still interested in selling your Long Beach home, Pete Mitchell? Or are you still interested in buying a home in Long Beach? So here's the key to this. The magic formula is first off, we want to personalize this message. This is where we use the mail merge feature in SMS conversations. So we're not sending out a generic group message, right? I'm sure you've gotten those on your cell phone. I've got my cell phone right here where someone has sent out, a message to 50 different people. That's not what we're talking about. These are personalized messages. We're just using SMS conversations that allows us to personalize 100, 1,000 of them all at once. Hi, Pete. Just following up from last week's email, are you still interested in selling your Rossmore home? So first thing we do, personalize it. It's like putting their name on the subject line of an email. It gets them to actually read the message. Then the next step is we do what I call the bridge. Just following up from last week's email, just following up from the open house, just following up from the chamber event, just following up from whatever, right? We're going to bridge from where we've been talking to them or met them at to our question, which is the next step. Are you still interested in buying your Lakewood home, selling a Lakewood home, whatever the case may be? We're going to approach that right there, what our question is. And then we're going to put the from, sign your name to it. Most of the time when you use a texting platform such as SMS Conversations or any other platform, it's not going to come from a phone number that they know. And so you need to sign your name to it or they won't know who that message is from. So do that piece. It's really, really simple to do. As a bonus, if you really want to boost up your responses to this, add a selfie to the message. You've probably seen these come from Debbie. You've seen them come from me. We don't do it on every message, right? You don't want to use a selfie all of the time, but we do want to send one out every once in a while. And in this instant client goldmine strategy, it's a great time to actually do that. So that's what we've done in week 3. So again, we sent the pink elephant letter, the email, the gapped message, the group automated personalized text. Now in week 4, we're going to send a sly voicemail. A sly voicemail is what's called ringless voicemail, or it's where we basically get to drop a message on someone's cell phone without their phone actually ringing. So here's a sample. Yes, hello, Pete Mitchell here. I've been trying to reach you the past couple of weeks. If you or someone you know locally is thinking of selling their home, I'm working with a family right now that's qualified and ready to buy. We might be able to sell the home without listing it publicly. Give me a ring back at this number if you know of someone looking to sell. Thanks so much. So here's the key that we're doing with the sly voicemail. We're pivoting to asking for a referral. Because remember, we've already hit them with an email. We've already hit them with a text message. And they didn't reply back to either one of those. Now we're going to hit them with the sly voicemail, but we're going to pivot it to the referral, the I have a buyer strategy. So the steps again, letter, sorry, I'll do better. The email, the 9-word email, the gapped message, the personalized, bridged question from, add the selfie to it. And then step number 4, the sly voicemail where we pivot to a referral. So that's the essence here of what you want to do with your instant client goldmine strategy. If you start this today, right? If you've already been talking to your database, skip the pink elephant letter, go straight to the email. Tomorrow, you're going to be emailing me and go, hey, Pete, I had people reach out to me telling me, yes, they are thinking about selling, or yes, they are thinking about buying. If you buy leads online, reach out to all those people. If they were buyers, reach out to them as a buyer. If they were a seller, reach out to them as a seller. If you haven't been communicating with your database, get that pink elephant letter and send it out. So let me actually do a screen share if I can. Actually, you know what? Let me play this video for you real quick. And then I will do a screen share because I want you guys to see this. I'm afraid if I leave this share of video, I won't be able to play it for you later. So I'm going to try that right now.
So what you want?
All right, I want to hear the story of the home valuation text that you sent out.
Okay, so Pete, I'm Karen Schwan, and I'm part of the inner circle, and you send out all kinds of information that we can start our whole marketing program with, and it started with a text, and the text was sent to our clients that said, I'm doing a free home evaluation for my clients. Would you be interested in an updated valuation of your property? I sent it to 50 people. I got.
All right. Well, I don't think that video is working, so I'll make sure it gets sent over to you. Actually, I'll have it put on the website today. But Karen was at one of our recent events, and I heard her talking to someone. She used the SMS conversation platform, and she ended up getting like 2 sellers and a buyer from one text message. I wanted you guys to hear that because I wanted you to understand just how powerful this thing can be. So let me go ahead and do a screen share here. Oh, Stacy says I could see and hear the video. Well, okay, great. I'm glad you could. I couldn't, so I stopped it. My apologies for that. And all right. So this is SMS Conversations, and I'm going to walk you through how you can do the instant client goldmine strategy, the texting and the sly voicemail part right here in SMS Conversations. The email you're going to have to do from your own autoresponder that you're currently using, however you normally send out your email. So that you're going to have to do on your own. Same thing with the letter. So let me show you where you can get that information on the Inner Circle website. You're going to come over here to additional resources on the Inner Circle website. You just go down there to additional resources. You'll see the Instant Client Goldmine Strategy. That's a PDF. When you open up that PDF, you're going to see this right here. And I'm going to scroll all the way down here to page 17. On 17, we've got scripts to use with sellers. Here's the pink elephant letter. Here's the text message. Here's the Sly voicemail. I'm sorry, here's the email, text message, Sly voicemail. Then if you're like, hey, what do I say to buyers? Here's that information with the pink elephant letter catered to them. Email message, text message, Sly voicemail. And then, but everybody always asks for repeat. Well, I don't know if they were buyers or sellers. What do I send to them? We're going to go for referrals, and we're going to ask them for referrals. So we've got the email message for them, the text message, and the Sly voicemail. All of that is right there in your Inner Circle resources. Again, you just log in, hover over Inner Circle, go down here to additional resources, and then you'll see the Instant Client Goldmine Strategy. In addition, one of the training courses, you'd go to training courses, you're going to find rejection-free prospecting. In the rejection-free prospecting class, which is all about how to use SMS Conversations to get clients, we've got this module right here, the Instant Client System, and I go into that even in more detail there. So you can go through there if you're like, hey, I really want to understand this concept, I really want to implement it correctly. That's where you can find even more information. So now, once you've logged into your SMS Conversations account, what you're going to do, and by the way, if you haven't logged into SMS Conversations before, you can find under Inner Circle here, SMS Conversations. That button right there is going to take you to a page where you can set up your account. Very first thing when you set up your account is it's actually going to walk you through creating your SMS Conversations account. It's going to walk you through a wizard, picking your phone number, testing messages to your own cell phone, recording your voicemail message. It's going to do all of that. So you've got everything set up. You're also going to fund your account with your texting credits and things like that. So assuming that you've already done that, we've got this system set up. One of the things that you'll want to do is you'll want to upload your contact list. So you just go over here to contact list, you go add contact list, and let's just say we're going to call this current clients. You are going to want to upload it as a CSV file, and it has to be a very specific format, which is why we give you a sample CSV file that you can download and make sure that when you upload your contacts, it's done just like that. You'll hit save. Everything's going to get uploaded for you. We're just going to assume that instead of saying 0 right here, it had a whole bunch of contacts in there. And let's say you're ready to send out your gapped message, that group automated personalized text. Well, we're going to go to our Conversations tab. We're going to click on New Conversation right here. And then you're going to say, okay, well, I don't want to send this to an individual. I'm going to send it to that list that I just uploaded. And you would select the list. I'm going to say it's my current client list. Now, we've had some agents that have literally thousands of people in their database, clients that they've helped over the years. If that's the case, what I recommend is that you really don't want to send out more than like 50 to at the most 100 texts a day. And the reason is you can get just absolutely inundated with responses. And you're going to look kind of foolish if you're like, hey, you know what, I'd like to help you. And it takes you 5 days to respond because you're busy. You're going crazy with people who've responded. So we've added this new little feature right here where it says spread out text message over a series of days. You can click on that. You can say, well, okay, I know I've only got time for about 50 messages a day, or you could change that. Let's say 25, knowing I'm probably going to get 10 to 15 people to respond. I'm okay with them going out at whatever time you want. You can just mark it right there. I want them to go out at 1 o'clock because I've got open afternoons. And then you could say, hey, you know what? I don't want them going out on Mondays because Mondays are always crazy. I don't want them going out on Fridays because Fridays I'm usually out in the field. Saturdays I'm out on open houses, and Sundays, well, hey, I just need a day off. So I don't want to be dealing with that on a Sunday either. And by the way, keep in mind, if you are going to let text messages go out on a Sunday, you need to keep in mind people's habits. So like if you're in an area where a lot of people go to church, you don't want that text message going out at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, because I've seen agents do that. And all of a sudden, people are angrily texting back at them, hey, I'm in the middle of church, and all of a sudden I'm getting text messages from you. Why aren't you in church, right? You don't want that to happen. So keep in mind everybody else's schedule, but you can set the time right there. Me personally, I usually only send my messages on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because if a message goes out on Friday, you're going to get some people to respond on Saturday. And Saturday, I just don't want to work. I mean, just personally don't want to do anything on Saturday. Mondays are always crazy. So for me, I'm usually like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday person, but you can do that however you want. And then you're going to come down here and you can either type in your own message right here in the message spot, or we've got these what are called pre-filled messages. So Debbie and I have already put in just a ton of messages that we know get results. All of these in here, and we've got them broken up into different categories. So I'm going to go down here to the Instant Client Goldmine Strategy. And you can see we've got the I have a buyer text to a homeowner. I have a buyer text to a non-homeowner. Are you still interested in buying a home in Long Beach? Are you still interested in selling your Long Beach home? Asking for a referral, following up. So we've got all these messages right in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this one right here. And what this is going to do is it's going to mail merge in their first name. Bob, are you still interested in selling your, you need to personalize this, Orange County home? And then for the account, first name, account, last name, it's going to take whatever name is up here in this corner, right underneath the logo, and that's what it's going to put in there. So we just did that to make your life easy. But if you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to have my assistant say this. So then you could just take that out and write in, Bob Jones, whatever your assistant's name is. If you wanted to add your selfie, this is where you would just simply click the add file. You'd take it from your computer. If you're doing this on your cell phone, right, because we do have an iPhone and an Android app, if you tap that button right there, it's going to let you take a selfie right on your phone, or pick one of the pictures you've already got in your system. Now, before you send it, before you hit this send, do the test. So you'll see where it's going to test it to. So that's my cell phone. So if I hit send a test, I'm going to see right here on my cell phone, I just got this message right there. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it just sent the test. So I can make sure, okay, you know what? That does look right. It did the mail merge. Everything looks good. I'm ready to go ahead and hit send. And then you'd simply hit send. Now, if you did that scheduling feature, we're going to come over here to scheduled messages. And so if we click on scheduled messages, you can see, okay, here's the phone number that it's going to be sent from. Here's the list that it's going to go to. The per day, 25 at 10 a.m. on those days of the week. There's the message that's going to be sent. It's going to tell you how many have been sent and how many are remaining. So if you had like a big list, 1,000 people, and you're like, hey, it's already sent 100 of them, but today's kind of crazy. I got, all this stuff going on. I don't have time to deal with people who are responding. You could simply hit the pause button right there. And now it's been paused. So it's not going to send any the next available day until you hit resume. And once you hit resume, it'll pick up where it left off. And then, of course, if you just wanted to delete it because you're like, hey, you know what? I got too much business already. I can't keep sending out these messages. You'd simply hit the delete button there on the edge. Carol is asking, is this webinar being recorded so we can rewatch it? Yes, and it is going to be up on the member site underneath group coaching calls with Pete. That's where you're going to find it. We're going to get that up there today because it usually doesn't take that long for the system to render the video. But that's where you'd send out, or that's where you'd check your scheduled messages right there. So now that's how you send out your gapped message. when you're ready to send out your Sly voicemail, you're going to click on your recordings over here on the left side of the screen. Once we're over here, we've got this add message button over here at the top right. We're going to click the add message. And again, we've got a whole lot of scripts right here. That's what all those scripts are that are in blue. And I'll open one up for you here in just a second. But I'm going to take, let me find it here. Instant Client Goldmine, I have a buyer. I'm just going to quickly copy that name because I want to save it as that. So for us to record it, leave it on audio, Instant Client Goldmine, I have a buyer, record it, and then you're going to put in your phone number. And the reason why is this: when I hit save, in fact, I'll do it right here so you can hear it. It is calling my phone. And the reason why the system is calling my phone is it's literally going to walk me through recording that message that it just saved. So you don't need to have a microphone, right? Like I got all those mics and stuff. You don't need any of that. It's literally going to call your phone so you can record the message. Let me turn that down there. And then what you're going to do is you would just simply click that script right there, pop it up right there on your screen. The system's going to tell you, I think it's like hit 1 for it to record and hit star when you're done or something like that. It's going to tell you what to do. So you just record this. Yes, hello, Pete Mitchell here. Hey, I've been trying to reach you the past couple of weeks. If you or someone you know locally is thinking of selling their home, I'm working with a family right now that's qualified and ready to buy. We might be able to sell the home without listing it publicly. Give me a ring back at this phone number if you know of someone looking to sell. Thanks so much. Right? And so then I would just follow the rest of the prompts there on the phone, hit the star button. It's going to play it back to me, make sure I like how it sounds. Boom, I'm good to go. Now it's going to be all recorded, and I'm going to find that right here. Instant Client Goldmine, I have a buyer. And then I can listen to it. Now, because I happen to know I didn't record it, right? I just sent the call to voicemail. It's not going to be there, but I could listen to it there, right there on my computer to make sure that it sounds the way I want it to sound. So now I've got my Sly voicemail that I'm going to send out. The key here is don't sound too perfect. Sound as authentic as you can. It's okay if there are mistakes. We can't personalize it, right? We can't do it like we can with the texting where it's going to automatically put in their name or anything like that. But that's okay. That's why we just leave it very generic. Then we're going to come over here on the left where it says Sly voicemail, second from the bottom, and we're going to click on that. And then again, we're going to say send this to a list. And then we're going to select the list that we want to send it to. So we're working with the current clients list. And then it says, okay, what's the message that you want to send? And we're going to say that Instant Client Goldmine, I have a buyer. And then we're going to add or just click send. And that's all we got to do. Now we're going to add that scheduler here to the Sly voicemail as well. That'll probably be another week or two before that's done. But we just wanted to, again, make it easier for people who have big lists. So just know that that's a feature that's going to be coming in the next week or two. Also, the history down here, this is really important because Sly voicemail is not like texting. It's not instantaneous. It can take 10 to 15 minutes for someone to get the message. So the history down here is going to tell you, hey, this is how many were sent. This is how many are pending. This is how many were successful. This is how many failed. And when you click on the view, it'll tell you the ones that were successful and the ones that failed. And if it failed, it's going to tell you the reason. It might say landline. It might say couldn't find voicemail or voicemail was full or whatever it might be. That at least is going to tell you, hey, this is someone who I might want to follow up with because they didn't get my message. And now, again, you're only talking to the people who didn't actually get the message because you know everyone else got it. Now, we don't know if they listened to it, right? Some people might just ignore it, delete it, whatever. But at least you'll know if it got delivered to their cell phone. So that's the essence here of how you're going to do the Instant Client Goldmine strategy with SMS conversations and basically sending everything out. So I want to make sure that I address any questions that you guys have. So if you have a question, you can go ahead and type it into the chat box, and I'll be happy to address that. And in the meantime, while we're waiting on that, let me see here. Go over here to my chat screen. So if anybody has a question, I'll see it pop up here on the screen. Okay. Let me go over a couple of questions that I had emailed in while I'm waiting to see if anybody else has a question for me. Okay, so can I use one telephone number for more than one guide task, or do I need a different telephone for every guide? So this is someone who's asking, hey, we've got all these great consumer guides here on the website. If you go to lead generation, you're going to see all the different kits that we've got. And let's see here, if we go, I think it's under marketing, we've got it broken out. All the guides, yep, right there. So do you need a different phone number for each of the guides? The answer is, in fact, you know what, here I just did all that and I realized I turned off the screen share. Gotta love that. All right, so here's where I was sending you to where all the guides are. It is under lead generation. Then there's a button for marketing, and then there's a button for all guides. And you'll see all the different guides there. The benefit of having a different number for each guide is for tracking purposes, but you're probably not going to be sending out 10 guides all at once. Typically, you're going to be sticking with one campaign a month, right? You know, I'm either going to be going after first-time home buyers or move-up buyers or downsize buyers at one given time. And so it is possible to recycle the phone numbers right on the postcards. Hey, call this number, the free recorded message. It is entirely possible to do that. And I probably would recycle phone numbers. I'd probably just have like a stable of like 3 different numbers, just so I could, you know, not use a number for 3 months. So let's say I'm doing first-time home buyers here in May. And then in June, I go to move up buyers and I use a different phone number for that. And then I go to downsize buyers in July. And then, you know, maybe I'm ready to go after expireds in August. Well, if I haven't used that phone number that I set up for the first time home buyer in 3 months, I can use it again, right? It's not a big deal to reuse it again. So I don't think it's essential that you have different phone numbers. It is essential if you're doing multiple campaigns at once, because you want to be able to track. You want to know, okay, this postcard got me 10 calls. This Facebook ad got me 15 calls. This magazine I advertised in got me 0 calls. You want to be able to track that, and you can do that by having different phone numbers. So let me see here. A couple of questions that I've got. I'm working on an event with a dog rescue. They have a professional photographer using her photography to raise money for the group at events. Is there another offering at the picnic I can offer to build up my opt-in database? So what I would do is, if you go through the instant events kit, so that would be here under training courses. And if we go here, let me just show you where it is, instant real estate events kit. In each of those, like especially the pet photo kit, there is a registration form. So I would take the registration form, and the key on the registration form is at the bottom of it. It says, oh, by the way, I have these consumer guides. Is there any here that you would like me to send to you? So we're going to fish out of the pond, if you will, of people who are coming to that event and offering them these consumer guides. Some people are going to say yes, some people are going to say no. Kind of doesn't matter. We want to fish out of it. And so the ones that say yes are the ones that we're interested in. Then what I would do personally is I would take everybody who registered and I would send them either a thank you email or a thank you text message or a thank you Sly voicemail. And I would then say, by the way, I also happen to have these 3 consumer guides, and I would just stick to 3. So I wouldn't take all 10. And it would be the first-time home buyer, the move up, and the downsize. I'd say, I've got these 3 consumer guides. If you would like one of them, reply back and let me know, and I'll be happy to stick it in the mail to you. And so I would fish again out of that pond, just almost like, you know, a few days later when you're doing your thank yous. And that gets some people to respond. Let's see here. Kevin. let me actually go over here to this screen, make it a little bit easier on myself. Kevin, I have an out of area number on my cell. Can I use a different number as a front number, but always look like it's coming from incoming? Yeah, okay, so what you can do is, let me actually show this to you again over here. In fact, I'm going to stick it over there on that screen. So in SMS conversations, where it says phone numbers, this is where you can buy a local number. So you've got an out of area cell phone, you'd click phone numbers, buy number, you type in whatever area code you want. So let's say I wanted 949. I'd find a good looking local number, one that would be easy, 272-9982. Click the little buy button right there. That would buy it and stick it over in my account. Now what you could do, that's going to be the number that you use for texting and slide voicemailing. When we set up the number, which you can always change how you set it up. Again, first time logging in the system, the wizard's going to walk you through all of this. We click on edit down here. This redirect voice call to, that's where you would want your out of area number. And then you'd want to make sure that this is set to basically nothing. So when you have no voicemail set up on the number that we give you in SMS conversations, then what it does in that scenario is it automatically calls your redirect voice number. So it would literally just pass through. They wouldn't even know that it's being passed through to a out of area number. So then with your texting and slide voicemail, things are going to go out from your SMS conversations number, which will be a local number. There right now isn't a way, and it doesn't usually make much sense for most people to then like have your cell phone where you could literally call someone and it shows up as coming from this number. That's not going to happen. Because in that case, it's usually not a big deal. You just call them, hey, this is Pete. This is my cell phone. I used to live in the Bay Area. That's why it's a local number up there and not down here. And it's becoming so common now that it's not a big deal to people. So I wouldn't worry about having an out of area cell phone number for just calling people. That's how you would set everything up in SMS conversations. So, all right, let me see here. Marianne, if we have a local number, should we just use our personal cell phone number? Just depends on how many you're going to send out. So the reason why you can't use your cell phone number with SMS conversations is because it's a carrier issue. Your phone number, let's say my cell phone right here is through Verizon. Verizon is the carrier. So outgoing text messages, phone calls, everything like that goes through Verizon. Incoming comes in through Verizon, and Verizon tells it, okay, go over here to this cell phone. That's who owns this number right here. Same thing is happening in SMS conversations. That's why you can't use an outside number with SMS conversations. It has to go through the carrier. And that way, when people respond, the carrier is saying, oh, okay, this needs to go over here to SMS conversations. And SMS conversations is saying, okay, this is Pete's account. So put the message over there in Pete's account. So you can't use your own cell phone number through SMS conversations. But certainly if you wanted to just send out a bunch of text through your own cell phone, you're able to do that. What some people do is they'll do a cut and paste. So you would type out your text message, select it, hit copy, and then every time you send it out, just hit paste and send the same message out to people. I think you'll find it'll be a lot easier for you to just do it in SMS conversations. But again, that's why it's so important that you say your name in the text message, because people aren't going to recognize that phone number. Most of the time, people aren't even going to recognize your cell phone number, but they definitely aren't going to recognize a number they've never seen before. So that's why you would sign your name to it. Always sign your name to it. If anybody else has any questions, again, go ahead and type them into the chat box. Last question that I had emailed in is, what is the difference between a Wise Agent and Infusionsoft? So Wise Agent and Infusionsoft, those are just two different CRMs. We recommend Wise Agent. And in fact, the only way I was like, okay, the only reason why someone's even asking about Infusionsoft is they probably saw it in SMS conversations, because in SMS conversations, We have this Infusionsoft thing right here where people can integrate with Infusionsoft. That's because a lot of our users are also not in real estate. So for our non-real estate people like me, people like Debbie who markets to real estate agents, we use Infusionsoft. I would never in a million years recommend Infusionsoft to a real estate agent. It would be like taking a sledgehammer when all you needed was like a little tiny ball peen hammer, right? You don't need Infusionsoft on any level for real estate. Christina says, Pete, can you see my question? Let me see here. Okay, let's see here. I'm struggling to build my business as open houses here in Arizona seem to have slowed down. Is farming still a good idea? Investment in today's market? Yeah, absolutely. Definitely pick a farm and stick with it. Stay in front of that farm. We usually recommend twice a month staying in front of them. That having been said, love farming. If I were brand new to an area, the quickest way to break into a brand new area is to put on an event. Get joint venture partners. All of that you're going to find under the training courses under the Instant Real Estate Events Kit. We got a whole training on here's how you do events. I have built both of my primary careers, my marketing career, and before that, my financial planning business off of doing events. In fact, one of my agents in financial planning, he was like, hey, should we be, doing events or, I kind of want to break into this market over here. Should we just be doing mailers and farming? What should we be doing? And I was like, look, let's just go ahead and do an event because I don't need to do mailers. Like I can put on an event and I'm immediately in that market and I'm going to pull business out of that event. So we've got events for people who like to do public speaking. Those are education-based seminars, first-time home buyer, move up, downsizer, and investments. Like those are the primary ones. Now, you'll have the most success if you do a how to invest in real estate seminar. You'll have the second best success if you do a first-time home buyer. Third would be downsizing. Last would be move up. So I wouldn't go after move up as like, hey, I want to do this as my seminar. I wouldn't do that one first. I would wait and make that to be my last attempt. The reason is because people who are thinking about moving up, it's a harder market to crack into because they're already thinking, well, I've already bought a home before, so I already know all that stuff. So it's harder to get them to come to a seminar. People who are thinking about downsizing, they got all kinds of questions. They'll come to a seminar. People who want to invest in real estate, all kinds of questions. They're going to come to a seminar. So that's what I would do, on that level. Do an event. That'll help you break into the market. Michael, let's see here. Can I just use a general area instead of a specific location? Are you interested in buying in Los Angeles County instead of Lakewood? Yeah, you can in certain areas. Like Orange County, because we've got so many cities around here, it's totally acceptable to say, are you still interested in selling your Orange County home or buying a home in Orange County? Totally acceptable, right? Because all the cities are right around here. Same thing with LA. There's so many stinking cities right around there. Totally acceptable to say Los Angeles County. In other parts of the country, it doesn't work as well because in other parts of the country, it's like, no, everyone sees himself as, Tulsa. They don't see themselves, I don't even know what county that would be. Vegas would be probably a good example. I wouldn't say, are you thinking of selling your Clark County home? Because people don't really associate it as, well, I live in Clark County. They would say, no, I live in Henderson, or I live in Las Vegas, or I live in North Las Vegas. So you just want to use a term that people are going to identify with. That's the key on that. Finding what's the term that people are going to identify with. All right, let me see if I've got any other questions here. Okay, I'm not seeing any other ones come up. If I've missed your question, go ahead and type it back in. I'm going to check over here on my question screen there. Nope, Michael just says, thanks, fantastic. All right, guys, so with that, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. You can always reach out to me via email. I'll be happy to help you in every way possible. Okay, Stacy says, I know you signed your name. Should you include your company name? Great question. Depends. Sometimes I do include the company name. So how I would include it is this. I would do the personalized, hi, Bob. And then I would say, I would go right to my from right there. Hi, Bob. Pete Mitchell from Pete Mitchell Realty here. And then I would go into my bridge, just following up from last week's email. And then my question, are you still interested in selling your home? So what I've done is I've moved the from to right after the to. And that way it kind of flows better when you're like, Pete Mitchell from Pete Mitchell Realty here. And it just, the flow is so much better for people. So if you need to do that, and a lot of times people do, especially if you like got the list off of Open House and they're like, hey, I don't recognize this person. You know, who's Pete Mitchell? I don't know who that is. And they're just like, you know, spam, whatever. I'm going to hit stop or, you know, text back stop, all that kind of stuff. So if you're buying online liens, things like that, then I would probably just do it like that. You know, personalize it. Hi, Susie. Hi, Karen. Hi, Bob. Pete Mitchell here from Pete Mitchell Realty. And then go into my bridge and my question. Kevin says, I thought the name of brokerage was mandatory market. Depends on the state that you're in. Follow all of your state laws. And if you don't know what they are for where you're at, reach out to your broker and ask them. We don't give you legal advice, so you absolutely need to be compliant. In some states, you got to put your license number. In some states, you've got to put even the broker's phone number. So follow your local laws, whatever they are in the state that you're in. Santos says, do you recommend putting your cell phone number on the text? No. That's going to confuse people. Why are you texting me from one number and telling me to text another number or call another number? That doesn't make sense to them. So you're going to download the app on your iPhone or Android for SMS conversation. So when someone replies back, you're going to get a message right there on your phone because of the app, and you can respond to them. So don't confuse them by giving them another number. We are required in Oklahoma to include, even in handwritten marketing, to include our company names. Hey, yeah, do it. If you got to include your company name, absolutely do it. Totally do it. 100%. Do not skirt the issues. And keep in mind, this is really, really important. You cannot spam people via text, meaning do not buy a list and import it. In fact, when you go through the wizard, very first thing we do is we have an anti-spam opt-in only policy. First of all, it's illegal. Secondly, the do not call laws all apply to texting and slide voicemail just like they do everything else. So don't think, hey, I can just buy this list and get away with it. I mean, I can't remember what the penalty is, but it's outrageous that the FTC has. It's like $1,000 a text. I mean, it's something so outrageous. Do not skirt any of the laws, any of the rules in your area. Follow them 100% all the way. So, Gabriella, yes, there is an email and slide voicemail and text asking past clients for referrals. Again, you're going to find that under the Instant Client Goldmine strategy on the website, which is going to be here under additional resources. And we've actually got all of this stuff broken out, scripts to use with your database. That's where we're asking for referrals. Here it is for buyers. Here it is for sellers. I think I'm showing you guys the wrong screen again. Yep, of course I am. Yeah. You know, that's the problem when you got two screens. I'm trying to make life easy, and I totally forget which one I'm sharing with you guys. So let me show that to you here again. Under Inner Circle, go down to Additional Resources. When you click on that, you're going to see the cover for the Instant Client Goldmine strategy. This one right here. And when you open that PDF, you're going to see we've got all of these scripts right here for the Instant Client Goldmine. This one's for buyers. And let's see here. These are the ones asking for referrals. So the general scripts, that's where we ask for referrals. Joe's asking, when someone responds to your SMS, will the system send me an alert? Yes, it will. So if you have your desktop, it's going to do a push notification on your desktop as long as you said yes to sending you that. When you've downloaded the app is going to give you a push notification. So again, when you go through the wizard and you set up your SMS Conversations account, the very last thing we do is we literally text your cell phone the link to the iPhone and the Android app. So if you're on Android, click the link for Android. If you're on iPhone, click the link for iPhone. Download it and log in. You must log in. Once you've logged in, then the system's going to start sending you push notifications on your phone when someone responds to your text message. All right, let's see. Those are all the questions that I'm getting so far. So I'm going to assume that we've answered all your questions. Again, if you got anything else, go ahead and email it to me. I'll be happy to respond to your email and help you out in every way I can. But go ahead, take this strategy, get implementing it right away. Get some business this week just by sending out the email. Like, send that. I mean, if you've never done that, send that. And then you'll be just blown away at the response that you get. So with that, guys, thanks so much for your time. And I will talk to you on our next group coaching call that I do. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.